Something happened much sooner than I thought it would, and I think this tweet pretty much shows it. So Falcon, a Ruby web server, has been deployed to Shopify. And this is exciting because if you think about Node.js and JavaScript, it has similar limitations to Ruby in that whenever you spin up a process, it can only schedule across one CPU, and Ruby has that problem and a few other issues. So how did Node.js get around that? It uses this thing called asynchronous I/O. And the non-technical kind of reductive explanation of this is why can Node.js processes handle WebSocket connections, API connections, connections to LLMs over WebSockets? Like it can just do that much better, and we see that. And Falcon is going to bring that capability that Node.js has been enjoying for years into Ruby and eventually into Rails. You can spin it up in Rails today, but there's some issues with it. So let's go ahead and jump into the source code. We have the repo here, and it's called github.com/socketry/Falcon. So I got to clone this locally. We'll open this up. And you know what? Let's start with the README in here, and we'll see kind of what it is we're working with. Cool, my hotkey. There we go. There's my hotkeys. All right. Falcon is a multi-process, multi-fiber, rack-compatible HTTP server built on top of Async. I could probably spend weeks going over this source code. It is honestly some of the most well-written source code I've seen in Ruby. If you want to know like how to build abstractions in Ruby, I highly recommend checking this out. I'm going to cover these the best that I can in future RTFSCs. But we don't have time for that. We got to get into this server and just kind of start cracking open the source code on the thing, right? So let's go ahead and start from the top, right? Whenever you run Falcon, the binary Falcon, the server Falcon, this is what it's running. So we're going to look at command, and then we're going to see, all right, what is command.call here? This is kind of our entry point into this thing. I'm not sure what Falcon host does, so I'm not going to get too worried about that. Let's see if that works. It doesn't. All right. Lib Falcon command. All right. So we have top. Let's see what top is called. Great. All right. So we have all these options here. You can see this is just parsing command line options. I'm guessing at some point here we're going to be putting some kind of command together. There we go. Samovar command. All right. So I'm not sure where this command gets set, but let's see what's going on here. We got serve, host, virtual proxy, redirect, encoding call. All right. So where's command being set? I don't know. Probably in the superclass. Let's see if that's somewhere in here. Oops. All right, virtual environment. Maybe this is it. I don't know. No, we already went in there. Haha, I'm already like kind of lost in this. Samovar. I don't know what Samovar is. Let's see what that is. A gem, perhaps? Let's see what we got in here. Okay, so we have a gem in there. I'm not going to dive into that. That's just some kind of command line parser. I'm hitting a dead end here. Like, obviously, this is configuring a server, but I have 6 more minutes to dig into some substantive stuff here, and I'm kind of running out of time. So let's go ahead and get out of the command, and then let's go into actual Falcon itself. So we have Falcon server. It's a web server, so let's see kind of what's going on inside of server.rb. All right, so this is the interesting thing about just general, well, actually with Falcon in general, it's a very small abstraction over async HTTP server. So the disappointing thing about this RTFSC is it's not really going to get too much into the HTTP guts of the server because that's implemented in a different repo in this thing called HTTP, and there's different libraries and protocol libraries and all sorts of fun stuff. But what's nice about kind of the way this code is built out, you can get a sense of, oh, okay, I'm dealing with middleware here, and it's using this middleware. You're going to see async everywhere. And this is kind of how Samuel has laid out his code. He has kind of the implementation hanging out in like async HTTP. And then you'll see these things called protocol, which that handles obviously the protocol type thing. So you'll see that the protocol code is separate from like the code that actually implements the protocol. I actually find that very useful It is split out across different repos, which kind of makes navigating this project, I think, a little more difficult. But anyway, you can see here, like, here's some code where we're accepting connections, we're calling connections, and all that fun stuff. So let's kind of follow or just click around here and see, I guess, command. Let's see what we got in host. All right, so these were the things where before I was trying to figure out, okay, what is samovar command? And we can see we're running some stuff here. We have an async service controller, and then we're passing configuration in there, and then a container class. So async container class. There's a yellow jacket buzzing around my head right now. Wonder what serve does here. Oh, here we go. Async service environment. Yeah, so what's cool is the actual server just spins up what's called an HTTP endpoint from this gem, async HTTP. This is, hey, endpoint, I need you to bind to this. So I guess what's nice about Falcon's, it's this tiny layer above HTTP. You could actually pull this into kind of whatever application is that you're building. Maybe you want to build a different kind of async HTTP server that uses HTTP or HTTP2. You could do that. You would just use that gem. All right, let's get out of commands though. We spent some time there. Let's look at rack. So we have rack up. This looks like it's rack code here. Okay, we can see here we're loading the protocol and we're saying, hey, we want to use HTTP2. Let's see, a proxy endpoint, middleware, hello world. I'm not sure like where this thing is being pulled from. Anyway, we have hello world, we have configured. All right, so this looks like it's loading the configuration file from a path. There's let's encrypt. So one thing to keep in mind is HTTP2 has encryption built into it. So the nice thing about Falcon when you're running this thing, you don't need to run Nginx in front of it or some kind of thing that terminates HTTPS. You could just spin up Falcon, and that's going to handle HTTPS for you. So the cool thing about Falcon as a server is that it has less moving parts. You don't need to like put all this stuff in front of it. You can, but you can also set up Falcon to terminate SSL certificates, and it can handle WebSockets and HTTP2 just fine whenever you give it a certificate. There is a proxy feature for it, it looks like, so I'm guessing this is like proxying. Like actually, if you wanted to use Falcon for a front-end proxy like you would Nginx, I guess you could do that here, and it would scale reasonably well, I think. All right, so we have a rack interface here. There's rack up. This is just so that you can obviously run rack applications inside of Falcon. Redirect. This is probably something that is like redirecting to HTTPS. If you have HTTP, I'm not 100% sure here. So, I mean, it looks like this is redirecting to an HTTPS port. If we dug into this, if I open that gem, you know, we could probably find that. All right, so as I was talking about, you can actually self-sign a TLS certificate, SSL certificate, HTTPS certificate, whatever you want to call it. If you don't want to use Let's Encrypt, maybe you'll use this for like a development environment. I actually use this Falcon for my development environments, and I guess I'm using HTTP1. I don't know. I don't have to deal with SSL certificates, so keep that in mind. If you're like using Falcon and Rails, you don't have to worry about SSL certificates in your local environment. All right, we have authority, container options, URL. This is a default environment, or I should say the default port and stuff that's spun up whenever you boot Falcon. Supervisor. So there are actually like kind of multi-process schemes in Falcon. So you could boot the thing. I forget if it boots across threads or processes or whatever, but you can set it up so that it boots one server and then that has workers for it. All right, I have like 45 seconds here. So rack up handler. We can see we're setting up like a server endpoint. We're dealing with TCP at this level. So this is another rack compatibility layer. And then service. I'm not really sure what's going on in there. And I'm out of time, but anyway, I would highly recommend checking out Falcon. It's pretty easy to just try it in a Rails application. If you look, you probably have, what's it, Puma in a web server right now. So if you just swap that out in your file with Falcon, like this, then Falcons, and then run bundle, you can try it and it should work.